Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Hi, happy Wednesday. It is July 28th.
How many of you have run out of gas just running around town? It's all happened to us at some point in our lives, right?
Yes. I was close yesterday, but but I filled up in time.
Well, were you keeping an eye on the miles to empty thing on the dash of your car?
I always do, but like Mark and I were talking about it earlier, you can't trust it. Sometimes it fluctuates back and forth.
And AAA says you shouldn't trust it. There's a new article on KSAT.com. Miles to empty displays may not be as accurate as you think.
That's right. They said if you rely on your car's miles to empty to determine when to coast into the gas station for fuel, it may be a risky move.
In a partnership with the Automotive Research Center at the Automobile Club of Southern California, AAA tested the accuracy of dash displays to estimate fuel economy. Collectively, fuel economy was reasonably accurate, although there were some significant variations test to test. One vehicle's fuel economy was overstated by 6.4% or 2.2 miles to the gallon.
But can you trust the miles to empty? The testing found discrepancies and variations on short drives. They also found the estimate is based on recent driving patterns to determine future mileage, and that may not be totally accurate. Well, we kind of felt that.
So they recommend, again, AAA, getting gas when your fuel gauge dips to a quarter of a tank, which some of you were already doing. If you're super paranoid, you were doing it at half a tank.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that already.
Yeah,
and maybe I need to move to half a tank instead of closer to E.
Might be worth thinking about, Steph.
I will do that. Let's look at today's 9 at 9. 2 people are dead after a fire at a chemical plant near Houston. The facility in LaPorte suffered an acid leak overnight. At least 38 workers were hurt, 2 of which were rushed to the hospital.
Break out the masks again. The CDC is recommending masks for vaccinated and unvaccinated people indoors, mainly in areas of the country with high case counts. The Delta variant accounts for more than 80% of cases in the U.S., according to federal data. President Biden is expected to mandate vaccines or regular testing for all federal employees sometime this week.
Unrest in Sydney, Australia, after officials extend the COVID lockdown for another month. Dozens were arrested in anti-lockdown protests earlier this month. Protesters argue the case count isn't high enough to justify a lockdown with around 150 cases per day in a city of 5 million people.
Tokyo reported another day of increased COVID cases. At least 174 cases are being linked to the Olympics, only including crew members, officials, and media personnel. No athletes have tested positive. The city as a whole reported over 3,000 new infections Tuesday.
Simone Biles will not compete in the gymnastics all-around final. Instead, Jade Carey will replace Biles in tomorrow's competition. Biles says she will not compete to focus on her mental health.
Democrats, Republicans, and independents have at least one thing they can agree on. Nobody's particularly happy with the Supreme Court. Americans' approval of the nation's highest court dipped to its lowest point in 4 years in a Gallup poll Wednesday, falling below 50% for the first time since 2017.
Supply chain worries have toy giant Hasbro gearing up for the holidays now. The company says it is sourcing more of its toys earlier from various countries so it can stock up for the end of the year.
Texas and Oklahoma have made it official to request to join the Southeastern Conference in 2025. The teams are not free yet. They're still under media rights contracts with the Big 12. Texas and OU are the richest teams in the Big 12 and the only 2 teams to win national college football championships.
Skywatchers will have a rare opportunity to see a double meteor shower this week. The Southern Delta Aquariids and the Alpha Capricornids showers are set to peak tonight and early tomorrow morning. An hour or 2 before dawn is the best time to watch. And that's today's 9 at 9.
We have some breaking news. The UK just announced they will allow fully vaccinated U.S. citizens and those from most European Union countries to enter England without quarantine requirements, hoping for an influx of late summer tourists. That's breaking right now via Wall Street Journal and several other media outlets.
For now, let's look outside with live cam. Here it is 80 degrees, kind of climbing up a little bit.
And of note, we still have not reached 100 degrees yet. I don't think I've jinxed it at this point. I don't think we will. I think we're going to finish out July without having hit 100. Sort of exciting, I suppose. It's still hot and humid out there, and we'll still see some hot temperatures, but not as hot as triple digits. 81 degrees right now, 74 Kerrville, 73 in Rock Springs, 82 in Del Rio. warm, humid, but mostly clear here in San Antonio. Next 3 days, we'll get a 20% chance of rain today. Rain chances drop off tomorrow and Friday. Notice temperatures stay right there in the mid-90s. Heat index is going to be up around 100. Pollen count is in. Molds are low. Pigweed is low. This is the first time molds have been low in a long while. I think we can rejoice about that. No dust in the atmosphere either. Here's the forecast for today. 88 noontime, 92 3 o'clock, 94 5 o'clock, 20% chance of rain that drops off once the sun goes down. We do actually have a few showers on the radar down closer to the coast this morning. We're going to take a look at that and give you an hour-by-hour forecast coming up, talking about that rain here in just a few minutes, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Justin. Right now we're looking live at 90 at Couples. The morning commute is over with. Traffic looks great around town. Don't be surprised if you see construction here or there, but right now we're seeing no major delays on our highways.
Top stories we are following today. A traffic stop in northeast Bexar County quickly became a fiery incident. And it wasn't because of any trouble from the driver who was stopped. It was the deputy's SUV that caught fire.
It happened on Woodglen Drive near Woodlake Parkway early this morning. Authorities are calling it a freak accident. They say that deputy stepped out of his vehicle to talk to the driver. He pulled over, and that's when a second deputy on scene noticed smoke coming from the unit. The SUV burst into flames.
So a box of flares in the trunk are to blame. They somehow ignited. By the time the fire was put out, all that was left was the burnt out shell of that SUV. Heat from the fire caused damage to at least 2 other cars in the area.
Neighbors say they actually heard ammunition going off in the vehicle while it was burning. Nobody was hurt. Fire crews were called back to the scene later on to clean up fuel that had spilled from this incident.
And here's a live look inside the courtroom where accused killer Otis McCain could learn his punishment today. This is a capital murder offense, so the death penalty is an option for jurors.
Now convicted killer Otis McCain. McCain's attack in the courtroom earlier this week becoming a focal point now. McCain could be seen throwing his elbow at a Bexar County deputy named Isidro Gonzalez just moments after McCain was convicted of killing San Antonio Police Detective Benjamin Marconi.
Our Erica Hernandez is in the courtroom again today. She will have updates throughout the day. And remember, you can live stream today's session on KSAT.com. In your morning headlines, an eyewitness describes how a private jet crashed near Lake Tahoe and a stalker slams an SUV into a house.
A baby left in a hot vehicle in Las Vegas and a moose looking for a place to park. David Sears is here. Good morning, David.
Second best thing to a bear story is a moose story.
There you go.
So we got that for you in just a second. But first, we're going to start with this disaster near Lake Tahoe. That fire and all the debris on the ground, the result of a private jet crash near the Tucky Tahoe Airport. The crash happened Monday. It's being referred to as a business jet. There were no survivors. An eyewitness got a good look at the jet as it came crashing to the ground.
It went down, it looked like it was going down on its nose and left wing. I don't know if it flipped on over or landed like that. And then a huge explosion of fire and smoke.
The plane could actually hold as many as 14 passengers and 2 crew. There were only 3 on board at the time the Bombardier CL-600 crashed. All right, you are watching this SUV crash right into this house. This is in Minnesota. This is Ring security camera video. Inside the vehicle, no driver, but a teddy bear in a noose. According to police, a guy named Benton Byers stole the SUV, then put a heavy piece of granite on the accelerator and let it go right into the home of the Andrea and Philip Robinson. There is a backstory to all this. Andrea Robinson has a restraining order against Byer. She has called the police 18 times over the last 2 months because Byer was stalking and harassing her. The Robinsons say it all started when they posted a video about racism and then put a Black Lives Matter sign in their yard. The police say they will prosecute if there is evidence of racially motivated crime, but the Robinsons don't have a lot of faith in anything happening because they felt like at the time the police gave up chasing Byer quickly after the crash.
We were left here with our neighbors with no police protection with a man that essentially tried to kill our family.
Here's the good news for the Robinsons. Police say the chase ended because of dangerous conditions. However, they eventually caught Byer. He is being charged with auto theft, property damage, and stalking. All of those charges are felonies. All right, we talk about it all the time. Don't leave a baby in a hot car. It still happens, this time in Las Vegas. A witness noticed a baby left in the hot SUV and called it in. The police were called. When they arrived, they found a door unlocked, baby inside, hot but alive. One officer poured some water on the infant, trying to cool the little guy down. The baby was taken to the hospital. The person who was supposed to be taking care of the baby left the child in the vehicle while he went into a casino to gamble. He now faces charges of child abuse and leaving an unattended child in a vehicle. And finally this morning, that is a moose on the loose in a parking garage. And just, there's the ceiling of the garage. Look how tall that moose is. That's a big dude.
Not much clearance.
No, not a whole lot of clearance. You know how they have those signs like 6'2",
right.
3?
He didn't read
tall.
it.
Yeah. Actually been wandering around the neighborhood for a long time. Officers have been keeping an eye on him, and when he started wandering around the garage, they decided it was time to take their shot. They tranquilized him. Aww. Then a bunch of them had to carry him out of the garage.
Wow.
Look at all those firemen and officers carrying this dolly. Then they got a dolly, the moose dolly. They got that, and they wheeled him out to the moose trailer. And the moose should now be roaming free in the wild. But that is one heavy animal. Look at all those guys trying to
They
live.
were really struggling to carry it in whatever they were carrying it in there before they got the dolly.
They had
Yes.
that moose dolly.
Wow. But the moose is okay.
Yeah, and most of those spaces were compact car spaces, so probably no place for a moose anyway, right?
Yeah, probably. Well, you can't turn around if you're a moose. It's hard to do. You gotta get a duck.
And I heard the blind spots are terrible.
Yeah.
David, thank you. We can do this all day long. Appreciate it.
Time now is 9:09 and about 81 degrees right now.
With school right around the corner, there are still a lot of questions in parents' minds. Former acting CDC director Dr. Richard Besser has a couple of answers to your questions about COVID and kids. That's coming up.
Plus, a local 9-year-old trying her hand at becoming a famous author, and she's off to a great start. A look at her latest book, Finn the Pug.
And good morning, guys. It is summer in San Antonio. That means it is hot out here. I gotta tell you, we're here at Harbor Park, and it is a party to start the morning. We're gonna tell you what is going on and ways that you can be safe all summer long. We'll see you after the break.
And welcome back. It's about 9:13. After a mostly mild July, temperatures are starting to climb again.
We all know the heat, especially at this level, becomes dangerous when it comes to your health. But sometimes those issues can kind of sneak up on you.
Max Massey joins us live from Hardburger Park with tips on how to stay hydrated and avoid the heat-related illness. Max, how is it right now?
Guys, I gotta tell you, it is a big party out here. I'm not gonna lie, we have Ricardo, who's been out here for about an hour now. And it's hot. He can attest to that. I will tell you, if you are out and about today, don't wear what I'm wearing. It's hot. Well, I do have sunscreen on, though. I learned from our own Stephanie Cerna. Wears it every day. Skin looks fantastic. So we're out and about here, and it's hot. Ricardo, let's see. You go first. Let's see it. Foul. I saw it. Foul. Guys, they're fouling up and down here. I'm going to blame the sun. I'm going to blame the heat. I'm going to blame the shirt. But there are easy ways to avoid the heat. Can't avoid the shirt. Water. We see Ricardo's got his bottle over there. I have my bottle over there. Shade. Before the live shot, I was hiding in the shade, staying out of the sun, trying not to sweat through the shirt before the live shot. But we did talk to a local doctor, and she's going to break it all down. Ways to be smart throughout the San Antonio summer season. Take a listen.
Look out for a child who's less active than normal, who may be more thirsty than normal, who's craving water. You know, a lot of our kids in San Antonio drink energy drinks. We see them drinking sugar and electrolyte replacement drinks, which are good in moderation. But during this time of the year, the caffeine and the sugar, and particularly the energy drinks, can be very dangerous.
And you know, that stuff can be dangerous, guys. So if you're out and about, the doctor also told me you got to prepare. You got to prepare like 48 hours in advance. If you know that you're going to be doing athletic activity, thank you for Maria. She got the ball. Great rebounder. Let's see. We feeling it? Feeling it. Foul. Again, another one. I promise, guys, I'm usually not this bad. Ask Justin. Let me see that. Ask Justin. We were actually out at this court the other day. I was getting buckets on him. You can let him know. But we're going to be back here. There's a full-on class going on out here. We're going to be checking in with them. Coming up at 9:35. Guys, Justin?
Very cool.
They found the shady spot.
Yeah, they did. Max, I'm so glad you listened about the sunscreen. And yes, we know you're a good basketball player. We'll be checking in with Justin right now.
Thank you, Max. Oh, yeah, we've got this real quick.
Yeah, that's right. We have a reminder for you guys that the city of San Antonio is opening cooling centers through this week. So you can take out your phone and scan that QR code in the top corner. It will take you directly to the list of cooling center locations on KSAT.com.
Justin is here now, and we've been talking about temperatures gradually making their way back up. You factor in the humidity, and that's really when you run into some danger zones.
It is brutal, and Max mentioned we played last week and we brought our water and we needed it. It's just like you said, hot and humid out there. And by the way, we'll check the scoreboard on that. It was, yeah, He scored some buckets, but
yes, he did,
at the end of the day, it's a scoreboard, right?
Oh, Justin.
Let's take a look at the heat eye that's sitting over the middle part of the country. This is where all the heat is, and this extends down into Texas. But these are the forecast heat index today, forecast heat indices, I should say, today. It'll get up to 109 in Omaha, 100 in Oklahoma City, 105 Little Rock. You get the idea here. Lots of heat, even up to Minneapolis. 106 is what it will feel like later today. This is that typical heat high that sits over the country during the summer. Now, on the periphery of it, we're going to get some thunderstorms, I think, across parts of Wisconsin today, some of which could be strong. There's a moderate risk there, so a small swath there across the northern part of the country where severe weather is likely. For us, as we go south of the high, there's a little area of low pressure that's moving across Mexico and deep south Texas, and that's throwing some moisture in our direction, maybe just enough lift to get some isolated stuff going here, but not severe weather. Not like what they're seeing up north. It's just a small chance of a pop-up shower or storm. We can see it on water vapor here. You can kind of detect this broad spin right there. That's that little disturbance moving through. We see these kind of disturbances in the summer a lot, and generally they don't generate a lot of rain, but we are seeing a little bit of activity along the coast this morning, detecting some storms there just north of Rockport. Some of these were producing lightning strikes, and we're seeing a few lightning strikes here right along the coast. Some of that activity will try to move inland, and again, I think we'll see some isolated showers and storms today, but there's not going to be a lot of activity. This is around 4 o'clock. It does show some isolated stuff even north of San Antonio, maybe out in the Edwards Plateau. As we get towards 5, 6 o'clock, probably shifting west, and once we lose the daytime heating, the rain goes away. Clear skies right now. We've got 81 degrees at the airport, mostly sunny, southerly winds at 6, and it feels like 85. You can see the clear skies there. Clouds up to the north around Bernie, and as you go north of there, you're going to find some more cloud cover, and then out west as well. 77 in Uvalde, 82 Del Rio, 73 right now in Rock Springs. Dew points, these have not changed. They've stayed steady in the 70s. They did drop off a little bit yesterday afternoon, but for today, I think the dew points stay a little more elevated, and that'll keep the heat index probably up near 100 here in San Antonio. We'll see a lot of spots seeing the heat index close to 100 today during the afternoon hours. So as Max mentioned, be careful out there. Now let's look long term. High pressure kind of wobbles around here. I think it builds in a little bit more Friday and Saturday. But as we get into next week, it shifts west. We got another little disturbance Sunday that may kick off a shower. And then by Monday and Tuesday, as the high moves west, this sort of opens the door. A weak frontal boundary will limp in here. If it gets close enough, could kick off some showers and storms Monday and Tuesday. Something to look forward to. In the meantime, just a 20% chance of rain today. 94 Thursday, 95 Friday, 96 Saturday. Just a slight chance Sunday, Monday, and maybe a little better chance as we get into Tuesday, as we mentioned. No triple digits there in the 7-day forecast. Something to be excited about, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Justin.
Yep.
And still ahead on GMSA at 9, a 9-year-old author is sharing her love of pugs through writing. We're going to introduce you after the break. Coronavirus and the classroom are big topics right now, and that's going to get talked about more as we get closer to the start of the school year. Just yesterday, the CDC announced new masking guidelines recommending everyone in K through 12 schools wear a mask regardless of their vaccination status.
It's been over a year since some students have stepped foot in a classroom, and based on this latest announcement, the changes to the school year are not over. We bring in president of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and former acting director of the CDC, Dr. Richard Besser. Good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
Good to have you with us, Dr. Besser. First, how should students and parents be preparing for the school year? And should districts start mandating vaccines?
Well, you know, I'm a pediatrician and I'm a parent, and I'm very excited that so many students are going to be back in school this year. Clearly, that is the best place for kids in school learning if it can be done safely. And what we found over the past year is that it can be done safely. If teachers and staff get vaccinated, if schools ensure that everyone's wearing a mask and that there's room between desks and that there's some improved ventilation, it can be done very safely. But it's important that parents pay attention to what's going on in their own community. If you're in a community where the rate of disease transmission is very high and the rate of vaccination is very low, you really want to focus very, very clearly on what's going on in the school and that they are ensuring that the measures are in place to keep your children safe.
And Dr. Besser, this question is from a mother with 2 children under the age of 7. She says, how do we protect our kids from this virus with no vaccine, and our school district is not mandating masks in the classroom? How do we keep our families safe?
Well, I hope with the new CDC guidance that more schools will say yes. We are going to mandate that all children wear masks. It's also important to recognize that there are no vaccines for children under 12, and they're protected by what we do as adults. So I vaccinate myself to protect myself from COVID, but also to protect those around me who I care so much about who can't get vaccinated, either because they're too young or they have medical conditions for which the vaccines aren't effective. It's one of those things we do for each other. And I expect that over time, more and more businesses will require vaccination, whether it's requiring that all teachers and staff are vaccinated or whether a business for their employees says we are going to require that everyone is vaccinated in order to keep the entire workforce safe.
Dr. Besser, I know you're a pediatrician and not an attorney, but in your general knowledge, would it be legal for places like school districts to mandate vaccines?
It would. It's important to recognize the CDC is not a regulatory agency. And so while the CDC can recommend different measures, it's left to states and localities to decide on implementation. For vaccine mandates, most states do that at the state level in terms of what vaccines are required. As a pediatrician, I know that it's extremely effective when you require vaccinations for school entry. A lot of parents who may be on the fence about vaccination, once those requirements are in place, say, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And I think that would be the case for COVID vaccine if it were required in certain circumstances. But that's not something we're going to be seeing for younger children. I don't expect that we're going to be seeing it at this point for many schools, for high school and middle school students either.
And Dr. Besser, on another note, in a recent article, you mentioned that students should always have free meals. And why is that so important, especially now?
Well, the pandemic and the economic crisis have shined a bright light on conditions in America. And what we see is that it's not equal. There isn't opportunity everywhere. And this school year, what we are seeing put in place is universal school lunches. That means that every child, regardless of income, will get a healthy meal at school each day. And we know that 1 in 6 children in America every day face a situation where they won't know if they're going to be getting enough to eat. This will ensure that every child will. And it takes away that stigma, any sense of shame that a child has in having to step forward and qualify based on income. That's a wonderful thing. And I hope that the changes that are put in place this year become permanent, so that every child has what they need. It's very hard to be in class and focus and learn if your stomach's growling, if you're hungry, if you haven't had enough to eat. This is something that we can put in place to ensure that every child can do their best in school, can go to school with dreams and see those dreams become real.
All right. President of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, former acting director of CDC, Dr. Richard Besser, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
And if the name or face sounds or looks familiar, used to be on ABC News for a number of years, including Good Morning America. Speaking of morning over South Texas and San Antonio, here's Justin Horn.
Hey there, guys. Clear skies right now as we look over the beautiful city of San Antonio. We're going to see a lot of sun, at least to start the day, maybe more clouds by the afternoon. I want to show you the radar real quick because we do have some light returns trying to show up there around Fredericksburg. So we know there's some energy working across the area today. That may be just enough to kick off a few more isolated showers and storms. There's a little closer look at some of those showers there around Fredericksburg. Very light, but some heavier stuff down along the coast. Some lightning strikes, in fact. As you get down there near Refugio, this activity is working out to the north and west, and we should see a few more pop-up showers and storms, as I mentioned, this afternoon. In the meantime, that sun is pushing temperatures up into the low 80s, 81 degrees at the airport, 77 Bernie Stage, 82 New Braunfels, and you're seeing lots of sun out in Hondo, too, 79 there. Forecast for today, 94, your high temperature, 20% chance of rain through the afternoon, southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Guys?
Thank you, Justin. A little bit of a holdup there at I-35 at Weidner. Looks like there are construction vehicles off to the side of the road, so please be careful.
With hot temperatures sticking around this week, it's important to know how to keep yourself from overheating. Sometimes heat illness can happen before you even notice you're sick.
And Max Massey has been outside all morning where it's starting to heat up. And Max, I know you found some shade earlier, but what are some tips people at home might not think about?
Well, first and foremost, got to bring the water. I mean, we've only been out here about an hour and a half now. I already drank the majority of my water, so you got to be as hydrated as possible. And take a look behind me. You see this workout class coming to a close, and you see the people stretching, active stretching. So if you are working out, if you are out and about, I mean, there's a full-blown party out here. Make sure to stretch. They've actually been continuously moving the workout class closer and closer to the shade as the sun comes up and up. They are trying to stay smart. But guys, it is not just the court. It's not just the field. It's not just workout classes. You know, staying safe from the San Antonio summer heat, it's important no matter what you're doing.
There are very stubborn, hardworking people in San Antonio, and most of them are very smart. But just remember that this illness comes on slowly. It can be very severe. Some of the most severe side effects being nausea, vomiting, and confusion really could be life-threatening. So it's important to look out for the early symptoms, stay out of the heat when you can, and hopefully avoid a trip to the emergency room.
And of course, if you have young children, we've seen some families out and about at the park already today. Make sure you bring them water, keep them in the shade, be smart, be safe. And if you have lawn work to do, if you got to cut the grass, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. You don't know until it is too late. And like I've been saying earlier, I was out and about with Justin Horn. We were playing basketball the other day. I got to tell you guys, we weren't too smart about it. There was no clouds in the sky. We were not in the shade. Probably didn't have enough water. That's why I got to bring this guy out there. Mark, Stephanie, what do you guys do to stay safe? See, when I'm starting to lose it, all the sun hitting me right in the face.
I follow your advice there. I'm very big on water, but I start drinking water even before I go outside. I'm always drinking water throughout the day, and I think it helps.
Max, I don't go outside at all.
Cheers. You're Mr. Fisherman. You're the fishing expert. You're always in the sun.
You're right. You're right.
He's trying to throw you off.
I was just trying to make him spit his water out.
And I think you succeeded.
Thank you, Max.
Thanks, Max.
Stay cool out there at Hardburger. I mean, he's already cool, but
yeah,
9:38,
cool.
About 82 degrees. You're watching GMSA at 9.
The Big 12 losing its biggest teams, women's gymnastics losing its biggest competitor, and a lot of losses in the sports world, but there was one win. Details next. And welcome back. It's about 9:41. A lot happening in the sports world. What some would say is the face of Team USA, Simone Biles, is now out of the Olympic Games. Plus, Team USA basketball brings in a win.
And some new details about UT and OU going over to the SEC. If you need more acronyms, let us know. Bring in David and RJ now for more and talk about sports. Morning, guys. Where do you start today?
Morning. Simone. Got to be Simone Biles right here.
Look at this. Simone. Yeah.
Simone Biles this morning obviously withdrew from the all-around women's gymnastics competition. Pretty big news there after the day before she had earlier withdrew from the group competition as well. David?
I give her a lot of credit to step up and do this because, here's why I give her the credit. If she did not feel like she could perform at 100%, then she needed to step down and let somebody else who earned a spot on that team go ahead and take her place and perform at 100%. If she felt like she was going to hurt herself or her team, I think this was a selfless move on her part. She deserves a lot because of what she's done over the last year. She deserves our benefit of the doubt for why she stepped down, because of she's like just one of the greatest athletes, Olympic athletes,
all time,
one of the greatest overall athletes in U.S. history.
Right. And I think you make a good point, David, because if this is a sport where if your head is not into the game here, I mean, any sort of false move or any sort of bad move can really sort of get you hurt, get you injured. So I think that she realized that she was not in the right headspace to do this. Now, she could still compete in the individual events, which she is qualified for. There's 4 individual events that she could compete in, but we will wait and see how that all kind of plays itself out.
You know, she says she's got to get her mind right. Well, that's fine. We don't really know what she's dealing with. We know that it's, going to be some personal issues. It could be, some physical issues, whatever. But take your time, get it right, and then hopefully you can come back and compete later on.
Well, congratulations, Team USA winning team gymnastics in silver in team gymnastics.
Yeah, a lot of credit to those girls too, because they absolutely stepped up. Because I mean, just imagine this entire time that you're thinking to yourself, we have Simone Biles. Next thing you know, I mean, within just like that, it gets turned around, and they had to compete in all these events that they were probably not prepared for. And credit to those girls for winning this.
And the Russians barely
The only problem I got
beat them.
is they lost to the Russians. That's the only problem I have. Come on, does it have to be the Russians? Does it have to be the Russians?
Do we call this Cold War leftovers?
Oh, brutal.
No.
Did not want to lose to the Russians.
Okay, speaking of Olympics, Team USA here, they took care of business. I don't know if you guys were up and watching this at 1 o'clock in the morning. Team USA ended up beating Iran 120 to 166, or 120 to 66. It seems that they have maybe, I don't know if they've turned the corner here.
They got used to Pop's offense. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I guess that's it.
They finally got used to that offense?
Yeah.
Well, these guys haven't even practiced together, really. I mean, they haven't done a whole lot, so you would expect there to be. But when you're talking about one of the best coaches ever, I mean.
Right, and Keldon Johnson did play in this game. Keldon Johnson finished with 4 points. He got 7 minutes of action, so good to see KJ getting on the floor. The U.S. plays the Czech Republic on Saturday. Again, all they have to do is finish in second place in the group, and they are into the knockout round. They should not lose to the Czech Republic.
They shouldn't.
That would be really bad.
They shouldn't have lost to France either.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Here, just a couple of things for you. The print is real small. I don't know why I printed this so small. We got a gold medal in fencing. Shooting, surfing. Carissa Moore's got a gold medal in surfing. And there's another one in swimming, and taekwondo.
And David Sears wins the gold in bifocals.
Yes. Nice recap there.
Hey, we did get a bronze in skateboarding.
Oh, skateboarding.
Okay.
I've been watching a little bit of
That
skateboarding.
is pretty cool.
That's kind of interesting sport there. All right, David, you've been chomping at the bit here to talk about this Texas-Oklahoma news. Going to the SEC, I'm just going to give you the floor here and let you just kind of go off.
It's kind of a stunner. I can't believe. Well, I can sort of believe that they went behind the back of everybody else in the Big 12 and worked out this deal. They didn't let anybody know that they were doing this, and so that's got some other school. I know OSU's upset, and so I don't blame the other schools. There's a lot of questions to be answered. How much is it going to cost them to leave the Big 12? What will the Big 12 look like when they leave the Big 12? When are they going to leave the Big 12? So there's still a lot of questions to be answered. I say all the teams should just go ahead and pack up and move and leave them standing there with nothing, is what I say. But, it's just going to be a matter. How long will the Big 12 be the Big 12?
I don't think it's on life support right now, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
I get the feeling. And I get the feeling that maybe some of these other conferences may come and ask maybe a Texas Tech, Baylor to maybe go to the Pac-12. I know there's a lot of different sort of variables here at play. I think the biggest thing is that we keep on hearing 2025. I think that this is going to be earlier. I think that UT and Oklahoma are going to pay whatever they have to pay. They're going to get the lawyers involved and get out of the Big 12 as soon as possible.
Oh, there's going to be some lawyers involved, and there's going to be some lawsuits.
Some lawyering.
I can pretty much bet on that. I will be stunned if nobody sues somebody.
Yeah.
If nobody gets sued. So that'll be the shocker. But I'm not sure that even in 2025, the SEC is going to look like the SEC. I'm not sure college football is going to look like college football does today in 2025. You got all these kids now making all this money, which is that's fine. But you got all this big money coming from TV contracts, and then you've got the top 12 making the playoff.
Yeah.
That's going to expand. We're going to end up with 16. We're going to end up with 20. That's going to
this
go.
is just the beginning. I mean, at this point, the SEC might become its own.
So
the SEC might become its own league.
Yeah.
By the time this is all said and done, because there's also talks of including some other teams.
Divisions across the country is what
student
you're
athletes.
See. 2025, it's not going to look like it does in 2021.
No, well,
So there you go.
very different.
RJ, David, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Are we done?
You're done?
For now.
Yeah.
We'll come back.
That's what I was
For the
told.
next round.
Yeah, I think you guys are done.
For now.
Yeah, it's Justin's turn. Yeah.
Well, I think David's ready to bring back the Southwest Conference, right? Take it all the way back. Maybe not. We got to talk about dust, guys. I know it's not something we want to talk about really because it's been kind of a nuisance this year, but there is more of it coming. We see it across the Atlantic, and there's a pretty nice swath there over, say, Cuba and some of the Bahamas and that area. and that's going to likely move in our direction. Now, one thing that dust does is it's over the Atlantic. It prevents tropical activity from happening. So as long as there's dust there, we're not going to see a lot of tropical storms or anything of that nature. So that's a positive there. But as we move into the weekend, notice that some of this dust tries to work its way up into Texas. So here we go again. This is probably Saturday into Sunday. We may see a little bit of it. Good news, doesn't look like the concentration is going to be all that thick, but we'll see some more hazy skies over the weekend. Just a heads up. And as we look at the forecast high today, 94 here in San Antonio. It will feel like 99. Thanks to that humidity, Waco will have heat indices up above 100. Same for Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Corpus. Another hot, humid day across much of Texas. Tomorrow, no different. In fact, maybe a little bit warmer in spots. But the heat index is going to be the real issue, I think, going forward. Outside right now, we've got clear skies. 81 at the airport, 81 Stinson and Kelly, 80 at Randolph, and a southerly breeze. Any breeze we see today is going to be pretty light, I think. Still some 70s, holding on to 77 in Comfort, 76 Kerrville, but everybody else has now pretty much jumped into the 80s. That includes Cotulla, where you get 83, 82 Kennedy, 82 in Victoria. Heat index already a problem, feels like 85. Right now here in San Antonio, already feels like it's in the 90s for some of our eastern counties. As we look at the radar and satellite, we do have quite a bit of rain out across West Texas. Welcome rain there. We've noticed a few showers in the hill country and a couple showers along the coast. A little closer look at those showers around Fredericksburg. Very light, probably nothing more than a sprinkle. But the heavier stuff is down there near Refugio, just north of Rockport, seeing some thunderstorms this morning. And as we get into the afternoon, with a spin in the atmosphere right there as it moves west, that should allow for some activity even here around San Antonio. Or at least there's the chance of that. It's going to be few and far between. You look at the computer model here. This is around 4 o'clock. Shows some isolated pop-up showers, maybe a rumble of thunder. A little better chance perhaps out west. And then by 5, 6 o'clock, a lot of this is already moving west and starting to die down. As we look at the long-term forecast here, high pressure builds in a little bit more Friday and Saturday. So I think that probably takes rain out of the picture, minus a few showers on the coast. By Sunday, though, another little disturbance rolls in. That could kick off a shower. And then by Monday to Tuesday, the models want to bring a weak frontal boundary in here as the high shifts west. And that could also help to kick up some showers and storms. So there's a little bit of hope there in the 7-day forecast. 94 today and tomorrow, 95 Friday, 96 Saturday. We put some very slight rain chances in Sunday, Monday, and maybe our best chance will be on Tuesday, guys.
Best chance there. Yep. Even though it's small, we'll take it.
All right.
Thanks, Justin.
Yep. Thank you, Justin. 9:51, about 83 degrees.
And if you've ever wanted to have your home smell like a grocery store, you're in luck. Details about H-E-B's new food scented candles.
All right, I want to take you to an accident or some sort of incident, and this is affecting what appears to be the eastbound lanes of 410 at Crossroads. You see that big rig stop there? They've got the left shoulder and the passing lane closed off. Fire and EMS are out there and PD, but we don't know the details. But it looks like it is backing up right there in that vicinity. Again, eastbound 410 at Crossroads.
And we're in the 80s now, up into the mid-90s this afternoon. Slight chance of an isolated shower storm. A lucky few will get some rain. Otherwise, hot and humid, and that'll be the case into the weekend. Maybe more chances next week. You guys know scented candles are big business, right?
Yes.
H-E-B's got in on the game.
Yeah, we're big fans of scented candles and H-E-B. So how about having your home smell like flour tortillas? They actually have a candle for that. Yeah, it's right there on the screen. Butter tortillas.
Butter tortillas. So famous tortillas, the idea of an H-E-B executive who saw the need for tortillas made fresh inside the grocery store nearly 40 years ago. That idea turned into in-store tortillas in H-E-B locations across Texas.
Yeah, so it's known to come in packs of 10 or 20, the butter tortillas, one of H-E-B's most popular items, and so now it's in candle form.
All right, they're also adding scents, 2-bite brownie, homemade vanilla ice cream, creations,
cowboy cookies,
blueberry muffin, and then we also saw in here, what was it, wildflower honey?
Yes, wildflower honey, and
cinnamon rolls
in our director's curbside order.
And these run like starting at $5?
Yeah, $5 for the little ones and about $12 for the bigger ones.
It's on KSAT.